Welcome to Art 1 and 2. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Miss Biggs, and I am the art teacher. I've actually been teaching here for quite a long time, and every year is a new year for me. It's exciting to have your students in my class already, and we're starting out with learning some procedures and getting acquainted with each other. And we'll dive right into our project, which by the time you see this video, they will be well into creating a graffiti shoe, which is something that I'm liking toward the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So that's our start. And I just want to share my screen to show my PowerPoint and get you acquainted with a few things. So of course, anytime you want to contact me, I am very excited to hear from parents. And if there's a concern, if you are interested in helping out, if you are just wanting to check in with me about your child, please reach out to me. Email is best, and that's the juliebiggs.mercerislandschools.org. Schoology is another way, or you can call me. But the best times to reach me are fourth period, that's my planning, and or after school. And also, I just want to say up front, thank you so much for your support. Having your child participate in the program is what keeps it going. And so thank you for having your child in the class and supporting the arts, and anything else that you contribute to the PTSA also helps the art program a lot. I want to dive in. The most important thing that I find is in art is a special place. It's a place for kids to create a community, and we only have a trimester with the same group, but within that I really try to create a safe space, because art is absolutely an expression of self, and it's a way for everyone to communicate their unique quality, their expressive mark. And I just want everyone to know that they belong, and for everyone else, all the students, to create this sense of belonging. So, and I reiterate, we are born creative, and that's our universal state of being. So I do my best to reinforce that. Here are some art projects that we've done in the past. You can see the graffiti shoe there on the lower left. That's something we'll work on first. We'll get into a little bit of ceramics, creating a tile. The tiles are going to be expressive ideas, and we'll be diving into what a little bit more abstract, what art is in a sense of communicating senses and feelings and ideas that are not always easily expressed in other ways. We'll be learning drawing skills and photography. We'll be working with a lot of different medium. One of the things I just want to impart too is every day we come in and we start with a 3-minute of mindful drawing. And that's a way to start the class with developing a creative mindset. Mindfulness, improvisation, and playfulness is all a way to kind of create that mindful, creative state, which is not always the case in the rest of the students' day. Scoring. So this is obviously standards base 1 through 4. Art is a difficult thing to evaluate, so I use a lot of rubrics. I also have students create a digital portfolio and a process portfolio, and we also incorporate studio habits and habits of mind. There will be a classroom-based assessment in trimester 2, which is basically just a project that we go a little bit more extensively in. This is not anything that goes to the state, just recording that the students are participating in it. Some of the goals, the most important thing that is going to be looked at is the creative process. Is the student going through that process and learning about their mode of creating? And so it's really a self-investigation of how they work, what are ways that they can best express themselves, gathering information. Do they need to work in a more quiet environment or share ideas with another student? I try to create scenarios that are effective for everyone. And persistence is one of those things that also is going to be a standard that we look at. So showing that persistence, being able to keep going, keep working through a process to get to solving that problem. And not always is it what the student enjoys or wants, but it is showing that persistence to really try something to develop a skill and moving above where they started. And then also reflection. So taking time to evaluate and reflect on their in process. And I tell students this is just the perfect place because we have this luxury of having a group of people to share our ideas with, and creativity is something that grows with sharing. So it's really important that we take time to look at our work and share it, and then finally show it to the rest of the community. Habits of mind is also super important. And as you can see, this is a great graphic, I think, because it talks about the creative process, but it also talks about these habits of mind: stretch and explore, reflect, engage, persist, observe. All these things are really important to learning how to work through that creative process. And then studio habits, we'll learn how to care for the tools, work together at our table groups to share the workload of keeping the studio up and running and the tools cared for, and also, of course, storing their personal work. This is just an example of what you might see on Cumulative. And this is the habits of learning. These are not scored. You will see just the letter that indicates whether your child is, expressing this habit of learning or not. But I think it's also important to know that these are the skills that are going to help them be successful in the creating of the work. And I also like to encourage this idea of thinking like an artist. And that's the next thing that I will be encouraging throughout the trimester. We will have binders. We have binders in class. The kids keep these in class. I provide them. It's a way to keep their papers all together. We do these mindful drawings at the beginning of class. This is an example of one where we just did some line drawing using a graph paper. And then eventually kids will be putting together a final portfolio. And that final portfolio I'll talk about in just a minute. So this is the process portfolio, and that is really just keeping all their work in that portfolio. So if you don't see any artwork coming home right away, just know that it's in class, and I often keep them and put them on display in the community of the school. And we will have some times where they're all up, and I might send an art news message to say, come by and take a look. You will see the work at the end of the trimester. It'll come home. The final portfolio is really the most important thing. And this is a Google Slides presentation where a student will pick one of the units that we've been working on and create a slides of artifacts that kind of go through that process, showing their creative process. And it's documenting each of those processes. And so we'll be working together to make sure that they do that. In addition, on Schoology, all the work will be also uploaded on Schoology. So Schoology is the place to check your child's work. If they have assignments in, oftentimes I will also ask for the project to have a written or recorded artist statement. And so that's a really important reflection point as well. And here is just an example of an in-process rubric. This is something that I will give to a student at the beginning of a project so that this can help guide them. It's kind of like a checklist, getting them to think about these questions. And that's something they will keep in their binders, or they have access to it on Schoology. So again, that's something that if you're interested in looking in the assignment, look at those attachments and you will see this in-process rubric. And then this is an example of the final rubric on Schoology. So all the assignments will be graded on Schoology, and then the final scores will be put up at the later in the date, because part of the hope is that if the student is just approaching, they have an opportunity to revise their work and update it and get it to a level that they feel they can achieve. So I've always allowed for revisions, and I am always allowing for a little extra time if a student needs it. None of this is graded down, but it is important that we work in class and use class time wisely so that they don't get too far behind. Last but not least, I just want to put out some dates to remember. December 12th is the music concert, and I like to get a display up. This is obviously next trimester, but I may have your child in next trimester. And so I would love to be able to have you see the work on display. And then also just the Fine Arts Showcase. This is the great big event that happens in the spring. This is April 2nd and 3rd. And I like to keep one work from all my art students and have it on display at that event. And yes, we will get that artwork back to your child at the end of the year. And I'm always looking for help with this event. So if you are inclined, reach out, please. And I would love to take your name and email address for that. So again, please reach out if you have any questions, and I look forward to teaching your child this year. Thank you so much.